Hello, this is the 2026 walkthrough of our 2022 Antero Bamaga Mercedes adventure van. This is built on a 2021 Mercedes chassis that is four-wheel drive. It's really important to note that we do not allow this vehicle to actually go on four-wheel high clearance or unmaintained county roads. That's because even though it's four-wheel drive, it has some things like the rear differential that can split open if it hits a rock. It's just too high risk. It's not something that we allow renters to do with our van. This van is owned by us, a small family, who are sharing it with y'all to be able to have it and have it out in the world. So do not take it on four-wheel drive roads. It is four-wheel drive capable, primarily get you out of a sticky situation if you find yourself, for example, in mud or snow that is difficult to get out of. Otherwise, we're gonna start on the outside of the van with some of the features. As you can see, it does come with some steps, some outside steps on the van to help you get in and out of the van. This step has a caution on it. This caution is to let you know that the S-bar heater, the diesel heater that heats the inside of the van at night, the house part of the van, or when you need it, this is the exhaust stuff from it. It sits up against this metal here and it can get very, very hot. So be careful. Also make sure this never gets blocked. If it gets blocked for any reason, it could back carbon monoxide up into the van, which would be a pretty huge issue for you and everyone else. As you can see, the side mirrors fold in. I'll show you that functionality in a moment. It is also very tall. It's somewhere in the realm of 10 feet 2 inches tall. This is too tall to go through any drive-through. It's fine for most gas stations, but watch your clearance and make sure you know what the clearance is. We're gonna start over here with some of the water and electrical systems on the outside of the van. As you can see, I've pulled some things off. The Owl Expedition box that's located there. This is where all of these things are stored. I also have some vinyl gloves for when I'm messing with the gray tank. So the water, we provide this freshwater hose that is used to hook up to and gravity fill your water system. So you don't really hook it up and leave it hooked up. You use that hose, hook it up to the water source. A lot of truck stops actually have water fill stations, freshwater fill stations that are good water. And a lot of campsites will, paid campsites. So you'll fill here. One quick note with any RV water system, I strongly recommend you don't drink the water. This is potable water, but RV water systems are different. They don't get used as much. And if you notice on the van life videos, people are usually sanitizing the water through a Berkey, or they have extra separate water that they use to drink. So for the water system, we strongly encourage either sanitize the water before you drink it by boiling it or filtering it. We do keep this clean, but it's just about being safe, right? There are lots of stories of bad things happening, and we don't want any of our renters to experience any of those bad things. So the electrical system, this is where you plug in. And as you can see, there's quite a few cables and wires here. So for this system, come here, buddy. I have a helper. Our son Knox is gonna be helping. He's gonna hold the camera and point it right here, buddy. So, and hold it super still. So this system comes with this, and this is what actually plugs into the van. So you see it's like a puzzle, and it hooks in like that and then screws on. So this will secure it to the van system. Before you plug in, make sure you're turning everything internal off, the inverter, the master power, because when you plug this into a pedestal, it will surge. And then on the other side of things, thank you, buddy. On the other side of things is this. This is a surge protector, and it plugs into a pedestal with that. Only plug it into something that matches that. If it doesn't match that, don't plug it in. Don't disconnect this and plug it into the 110. The reason why is because this is a surge protector that tells you with these lights whether or not the pedestal is wired correct and is safe to actually plug into. It's a 30 amp surge protector. If you plug it in and these lights are anything other than 2 green here with no reds, unplug it. If it's anything else, anything other than correct wiring, unplug it. Do not use that pedestal. Let the campsite know, because that means it is an unsafe electrical system for the van, and it could cause very, very expensive problems. When you're done using it, you just unscrew this, set it off, and put it back in the owl box. So for the gray system, I strongly recommend always wearing gloves when you're doing dumping or messing with anything down here. So Knox, can you come over here and just point it at this right here? You're gonna need to watch it too. So I'm gonna get my gloves on while he holds that. He's doing a great job filming, I think. So now that I've got these on, you can see this cap is hand tight. It's not all the way butted. These stops are not all the way up against this part of the cap, all the way butted up. Don't tighten it so that it butts all the way up to there. It's just hand tight. Anything more than that, you're gonna have a really hard time getting it unclipped. So when you go to dump, you're going to use this box, which is also in the L box. And as you can see, this side of this hose matches this. So you unclip this, you take this in, and take it and twist it on. This end goes to the dump system, the dump station. Do not ever pull this valve until you are at this stage. If you pull this valve and you're not at this stage, any gray water will dump out onto the ground or onto you. To undo it after you've dumped it by pulling that, everything's out. It doesn't take very long. Untwist, put everything back in here, put the cap back on, just hand tight. Again, just hand tight. If you tighten it any more than that, you could end up with real problems down the road trying to get it off. We had a renter do that and then try and yank it and actually disconnected it from here, and all the gray water dumped on them. So we don't want that for you, and we don't want that for anyone else. Once we're done with that and that's closed, we take the gloves off. Gloves, just if you don't know, great way to take them off to stay sanitary. With one hand, grab, pull down like that so you're not touching your hand. And then with this part, take the other glove off and invert that way. So, all right, now we are moving to the owl box. The owl box, as you can see, is already unlocked and opened. All of the stuff that's over there does go in here and will be in this box for your rental. There are a couple other things we want to touch bases on. We provide a snow shovel here just in case. Leveling blocks in this blue, and in this black are traction blocks as well. We include a fire splitter here, as well as a small toolkit, a shovel for dirt, and diesel 911. The diesel 911 is because diesel will gel if you're under about 25 degrees, it'll start to gel. If you are going to take it out, and we believe it's going to get that cold, we will include anti-gel in the kit that we send out with you, and we'll explain how to use it. You are agreeing if you're taking it out, and it's going to be sub-zero, to put anti-gel in the fuel every single time you refill it. If you do not, it will gel up. You'll lose interior heat. You will lose the van's actual system. If for some reason that happens, we include two things: diesel 911, which will ungel what's in the actual fuel tank. We also include this. This wraps around the fuel filter itself, plugs into 110 outlet, and will heat up the fuel filter, so you don't have to take the fuel filter off to degel that, right? Because the diesel fuel just needs to get up above freezing for it to degel, and this will do that. You are paying for a protection plan. If you end up in this situation, use the protection plan. Don't try and solve this problem all on your own. You paid for the protection plan, please use it. But these are things that we're including alongside. We also include this windshield repair kit. Mercedes Sprinters have giant windows and windshields, and it's unfortunately really common when you get a chip that chip turns into a giant crack very quickly. We give you this so that you can pull over and use it and do that chip repair really, really quick on your own. That way it doesn't come back with a giant crack that would be your responsibility to make sure it gets fixed, either with the protection plan, your insurance, or yourself. So this is here to help make sure if you get a chip in the windshield, it doesn't turn into a crack that costs everyone a bucket load of money. If for some reason something in this box shifts this way and it blocks this handle, right? As you can see, to unlock, the handle has to go down. If something gets in the way of it going down, you're not going to be able to open it. If that happens, drive around a little bit and it'll usually shift what's in here, or just like bang around on the outside and hopefully reshift it and get it to where it needs to be. So now we're going to the inside of the van. As you can see, there is a ladder. There's no reason to be on that ladder. Up top is the air conditioner, which is currently covered. It'll be uncovered for your trip, along with solar panels. It is not a walkable top. There's no reason to be up there. Standing up there, it will break the solar panels. It'll break the things that are up there. So make sure you're not going on the roof unless there's emergency. The van does come with an awning, but for a whole lot of reasons, we don't include that in the rental, and that is a part of what's included and not included in the van. So now we're moving to the inside of the van. As you can see, right now we have this third jump seat installed. This jump seat is really cool. Let us know whether or not you want it or not. It's really for a third person. If you're going to have a third person in the van with you, it is a DOT approved smart lock jump seat that clips into these track system that is secure. This is a very secure seat when it's locked in. If you're using it and you want to move it around, it is pretty straightforward to do so. All you're going to need to do is, my helper is going to hold this and point it at these handles. As you can see right now, one is down and one is up. One is unlocked, one is locked, and it's not secure. You can hear it moving, right? If I secure this, once this is locked and in the locked position, it is secure. And it can be a little bit difficult to get into the lock position, but once it is completely secure. To move it or unlock it, you pull this up, and there's one on each side. You pull this up and pull back, and once that is up and pulled back, you can see the seat is no longer attached. And it moves. It can be taken out, it can be moved elsewhere, and we're going to go ahead and pull it out for the rest of this video so that we can have a little bit of an easier time showing you the rest of the internal components of the van. You can stay right there, buddy. So there are these track fillers available, and we have them. If it's installed, they will be in the L box. If you are using it and you move it, they just go in like this. They just kind of pop in. We include these rugs to help keep the dust down. They can just be beat out and clean. So the way our cleaning fee works is it's $200, and you only pay it if it comes back and it doesn't come back roughly as clean as it was when it left. Our mental guide is if it's going to take us more than 30 minutes after it returns to get it back to where it is when it left, then we're going to charge you the $200 fee. We've yet to charge it. So just know, like, we've been renting since 2023. As of the recording of this video, we have not charged that fee. So our goal is to not charge it. We will work with you. If it comes back dirty, if we're able to, we'll give you more time to get it cleaned back up. So we will work with you. We do not want to charge you a dumping fee. So if it comes back and the black tank or the gray tank is not empty, that's $75. If it's not clean in here to roughly this standard, right? The seats up here being clean, trash taken out, things put away, the refrigerator cleaned up, then you're unfortunately on the hook for the cleaning fee. If this cassette toilet that lives right here comes back and it has not been emptied, then you are also going to be on the hook for the $200 cleaning fee. So if you come back and everything else is clean, but that is not emptied out, then we'll still charge a $200 cleaning fee, because that's biohazard waste and is super duper gross. No one wants to mess with someone else's bodily fluids. So why don't we go ahead and start here, since this is open. Knox is going to come help me out so that I can show you how this cassette toilet works. So Knox, if you could hold this and point it at the cassette toilet. So the cassette toilet itself, most people don't end up using it. As you can see, it just sits in this box. This is where the water fills in. So you put water in here so that you can basically flush, so that when you push this, water moves around in this internal piece and helps any waste go down. Cap stays on. If you want to flush, you press this down. It's just a normal toilet. You sit on it and use it. When you want to flush, when you're ready to flush, you pull this out, and as you can see, it opens there, and we use this to move water through. And there's still some water in there, and as you can see, the water will move through. And then to close it so that the top is closed and it's not stinky, we close this. I always talk with renters about whether or not they want to go with it actually prepped and ready to go. If you think you're going to use it, then we will prep it. If you don't think you're going to use it, then we probably won't, because we will waste chemicals. The chemicals themselves, we keep some right here. They look like this. They're just TST. And as you can see, you don't need a lot, right? So when we're prepping it, or if you've dumped it, you pull this open, you pour just a little bit of this in, about this much. And here, you hold this. I'll show you what this looks like. We're going to open this up. We're just going to pour. It's not a very big tank, right? So not a ton. Just pour that in, and then a little bit of water in there as well to start, and then you close it. And that keeps it from smelling and keeps the smell down throughout your travels if you're going to use it. To empty it, in the back, we make sure it's closed. You make sure this is closed, and you take this and you turn. We pull that backwards, and the top comes off. When the top comes off, you can carry this. This is waterproof. Keep this closed. You turn this towards the toilet or whatever you're dumping it into. Take the top off carefully with it back, and then you dump it into a toilet, and whatever is inside of it will dump out. And you want to make sure it's completely dumped out. Then you just take this, make sure it's hooked back, lock it on, and you're good to go. This toilet case, all right, so the toilet case, in order for the cassette toilet to actually fit in, this has to be situated this way, like this. If you want to move this, it's the same. As you can see, it's on these T-tracks. It locks into one of these T-tracks. You bring this up, unscrew it, move it to where you'd like it to be, tighten it back down, make sure it's locked in place. We do really like this because this particular system allows us to this is also acts as a place that you can sit, right? And if it's that way, it works, right? So if you need to work for any reason, you can sit on this and bring the bed down, push the mattress up like this, and you have a place to sit and work, kind of this flat surface that you can work on if you need to. While we're here, we do include 2 camping chairs. Those are these right here. These were some traction devices we let another renter use because they were going on a snowy hike in Rocky Mountain National Park. This is where the lithium batteries live. Lithium batteries have a temperature limit on them. They have to be kept over freezing, so right about 30 degrees. If these drop below 20 degrees, they will stop working to protect themselves. That prevents overcharging, undercharging, fires, things along those lines. We have installed these battery warmers onto these batteries. If you're going to find yourself in a situation where the batteries are going to be in conditions that drop below 26 degrees, then you can reach in here, and there are these little buttons, and there are 3 of them. Just press the button and you see the light comes on and the battery warmer will start working. It's temperature controlled, so it should know when it drops to a temperature it needs to turn on, and then you just press it again to turn it off. It does not need to be on unless it needs to be on, so don't feel like you need to keep it on all the time. You really don't need to mess with anything in here, except for a good way to know how charged the batteries are is if you look at them, they each have this little power button on them. Just a quick press will show you. 5 green lights means they're 100% charged, so you can check the actual battery charge that way. These battery warmers are trickle charged, so this is one of the few things the overall house power does not need to be on in order for them to work. So if you're renting and you're going to be in a colder environment and you want to turn the house power off for some reason, I would not advise it, but if you do, these will still work. By turning them on. There are 3 of them. There's one here. Some of them are a little trickier to get to. There's one right here. So there are 3 of them to use and get hooked on. This is where the power inverter lives. There's no reason to be in here. If something happens that needs you in here, then you should be getting a hold of Outdoorsy and using your protection plan. That probably means something went wrong. These are the fuses or the power breakers for the house. Again, this is just to check and make sure things are up. If for some reason it's the winter, then we'll turn the hot water one off. And then this is where the fuses for the van live, for the house part of the van is right in here. Inside this is the water system. This is handy because if you're at a tilt, sometimes it's hard to know exactly how much water you have. As you can see, you can visually see through here. You should only ever put water in here, and the water goes in through the gravity fill. Everything else in here is a point of conversation. There's really no reason to mess with this. This is where the water pump lives, and some of the diverters for water and all of that good stuff. You should not be messing with that. If you're going to be taking it out and we think it's going to drop below freezing, we're either going to ask you to agree to be responsible for keeping the interior of the van well above freezing at all times to protect the water system, or we're going to send it out dry and winterized with antifreeze in the system. This is just to make sure that we don't end up with massive water damage from the pipes freezing. Inside here is where we keep the air compressor hose and this water hose for the backwater system. And we will show that momentarily. Inside the unit, when you turn the master power on, turning the master power on really just requires one push of this. You don't have to touch it again. You'll see everything spools up. This light always turns on. It turns on and off by tapping here. You can see there's a red version. When that's on, you get access to a lot of things. So you're going to get access to the refrigerator, which you can see the light is now on for, and includes a small freezer. It gives you access to the water system. It also gives you access to the air conditioning unit on the roof, which is brand new for 2026. And the S-bar heating system here. It also allows you to see the level and percentage of available volts. So this is not the percentage of the actual system itself. This isn't like 100% charged. This isn't 13.6% charge. That's the total, I believe, amps or volts available to run things on the batteries currently. This is the percentage of fresh available. At the moment, it's 44%. And this is the gray tank, which says black, and it is currently at 0. This is the water pump system for up here. So when this is on, it runs. In order to use this, you take this out. And as you can see, we have this handy dandy system for being able to put some dishes, dry things. There's also a stopper. We recommend keeping this here at all times. Always keep this in because this keeps nastiness from going into the gray tank. Only liquid goes into the gray tank, never solid matter. So make sure that's there so you're not accidentally dumping solids in. As you can see, the tank is on. The water works just by like any other sink. That's cold water, hot water. Now, how do you get hot water? Because that's a really important element. The hot water heater lives down here. It is underneath and behind everything in this area. The hot water heater is one of the items that requires the inverter or the 110 power to be available. The systems that require 110 power include the induction cooktop, the microwave, and the Nespresso, and anything that has to be plugged into one of these. All of those things require 110 power. So if we want to turn the water heater on, we have to turn the inverter on. We turn that on using this Xantrex panel. We press once. It doesn't stay on. It'll test it when you turn this master power on, but it doesn't stay on. You'll hear it spool up. It's kind of a whirring sound. You'll hear the induction cooktop and the microwave, as you can see, are all now on. This is a standard microwave. Induction cooktop, those are on. And you can also use the hot water now. So to start the hot water heating up, this button you press up and you hold until this green light turns on. Once this green light turns on, the hot water turns on, and you'll know because you'll hear the inverter spin up as it starts to draw power into the hot water system. If you're not 100% sure, you can open these two drawers and you'll see that the light for the hot water heater is now on, and that means it's functioning and it's working. Please do not touch anything in here. When you're ready to turn it, it will shut itself off. When the water is hot, when the water cools down, it will turn off. That little hot water heater will keep hot water hot for a long time, all on its own. So go ahead and feel free to let it heat up for 20 or 30 minutes. Once it's heated up, the hot water should stay hot for 12 hours. When that happens, turn it off. This doesn't turn the hot water heater off. It just turns it on. Right? So it doesn't push this way, it only pushes this way. This light also only turns off if the inverter actually turns off and it resets the system. So let's pretend it was totally heated up and you're done using anything that requires 110 power, the microwave or this. Don't leave the inverter on. This is a 3000 watt inverter. It just being on, even if you're not using anything, draws a little bit of power. We never have to plug this in because we think about power and we don't have the inverter on when it doesn't need to be on. So let's say we're done using everything inside the van that requires 110. We're not using the vacuum to clean that we include here that has to be plugged in. This little beautiful handy Shark mini vac. You're not using the induction cooktop. You're not using the microwave. Then to turn it off, you just press this button once and it'll take a second. It'll turn itself off. It'll spool down. And then to get this light to turn off, this light, I'm going to turn the water pump off. To get this light to turn off, unfortunately, the only way to do it is to turn all of the master power off. On your trip, the only reason that I actually recommend you turn the master power off is if this is driving you nuts and you want to turn it off. You just press that button, and as you notice, all of the power turns off. You'll hear a click and it'll turn off. That'll turn off. Let's turn it back on. Again, when we turn it on, this will always spool up and run a test, but then it'll turn off. This Kenwood Bluetooth speaker system powers the speakers that are in this back door. There are some instructions in our handy dandy little book. There is a quick guide that lives in here for questions about the van and things that function in the van. It's absolutely lovely. It lives in this manual and toolkit binder. But what I'll say is it's not the best instructions for getting this unit to, let's get this in here. That's that one. To get this to Bluetooth connect to a phone or a Bluetooth device. The model is written right here. Just do a Google search on Bluetooth connection to Kenwood RC M1824BT. It's a common frustration, even amongst other owners with this. You'll notice when you watch the Bluetooth videos. So that's the best way to get connected to this. Using the S-bar heater when you need it. The S-bar heater actually lives underneath this seat, and this is the vent for it. This is where the hot air comes out. You turn it on by pressing this button once, and you'll see it come on, and right now it says off. To turn it on, you want to press it again, and you'll see these three wavy lines. Press it again, and it'll ask you what temperature. We normally keep it about 64, 65. Press it again. It'll ask you how much time. So 720 minutes, enough to get you through the night. Most summer and fall, that's plenty. Or you can run it infinitely. That's what that means. Once you, and I'm gonna turn it way down just because there's not really a reason today to have it on. Once you got the time, you press it again and you'll notice this red light up. This timer will start going down. If this light goes to sleep, that's fine. But you want to make sure this ring is red. If this ring is not red, it is not heating. If it's blue, it's just blowing air. So make sure this is red. You'll hear it spin up down there underneath the seat. It'll take a minute to start blowing warm air, but it will start blowing hot air after a couple of minutes. Again, the exhaust is just outside this door. Make sure you're not around that exhaust. It's extremely hot and I don't want anyone to accidentally get burned. It will turn itself off when this timer runs out, or you can just press it again. You'll get those again. It'll show off, press it again, and it turns off. And now the system is off. Or when the timer goes down, it will turn off. If there is not a red ring, it is not blowing heat. It is not functioning. Let's go ahead and put this stuff away for the moment and talk about the induction cooktop and what we include for this. So we do include some basic cookware. The Nespresso machine uses Ventura pods. You can buy these at most grocery stores, or if you have Nespresso pods yourself, you're welcome to bring them. We include some basic plates. These are bamboo plates. They're not disposable. Please wash them and bring them back clean, as well as some cups, a few utensils, basic utensils, a knife, and then down here we have some cups, and we have these induction cooktop, this induction compatible cookware. Induction compatible cookware is unique because it has to be induction compatible for this. So to use this handle here just goes there, and you clip it. Now it's working, and this works for either one of these. There's only one cooktop, so there's really no reason to have multiple handles going at the same time. To use the induction cooktop, again, you have to have the 110 power on. You get the on-off function timer, and then heat up and down buttons. You'll see it turn on. This will actually not do anything unless you have something in this pot. So you can't really preheat the pot. You have to have something in it. So you'd set that down, put water, whatever you're going to have in there, and then you can turn it on, function, and you'll hear it start to spin up. And it'll begin working. So that's the induction cooktop. Turn it on, single press of the button, unclip, and these are back to where they are. And as you can see, that was getting a little bit warm, but it'll turn itself off if it doesn't notice anything in here. This should be cool to the touch relatively quickly, but please, it says surface may be hot after use. Don't assume it's going to be safe to touch it until it's had some time to cool down. The microwave is a standard microwave. One little thing, after you use it, I would strongly recommend using some Lysol wipes to clean it out to help keep the smell down. It can retain food smells if you don't clean it out after use. So let's go ahead and turn that off, because again, we're not using the power, right? Put this in here. Make sure everything gets put away. Up here, we have 2 pillows. These pillows, basically everything we have up here is up to you guys whether or not you want it. If you don't want any of this included, you're bringing your own, let us know, we'll take it out. So we include comforter, a couple of pillows, pillowcases. We wash all of the linens every single time this van comes back, even if you tell us you wash it. If for some reason they get gross, wash them before they come back. Again, bodily fluids, things like that, we don't really want to be responsible for messing with, so please take care of all of that yourself. We include comforter and all of that good stuff. On the bed itself is our sheets. And in order to drop the bed, we always recommend starting on this side. So you'll start here. There's this. You'll reach up. And once that's unlocked, it'll come down. As you can see, it comes down on this side. Comes down on this side. And then we can drop that down. And if you just adjust a little bit, they will adjust flat. And we include these special fitted sheets for this. Standard sheets don't fit, so these are special sheets, so please take care of them. They cost about $100 to have made, so please take care of them. We have window covers here, and all of the window covers I'll go through. So the back window cover for those is the bug screen that has a privacy. So at night, you want to drop that down and cover these so that you get privacy. Right now, it looks like you've got privacy because there's the van door on the other side of there. But you really don't at the moment. Those are just magnetic and they clip on like that. We tend to keep them on at the base. So to put this back up and away, you just close it like this. Really, you do need to have the comforters and pillows and all that good stuff off in order for it to all work. This back bug screen clips up using these clips and has zips to either side. As you can see, there's this privacy screen here that helps keep, you can drop it down During the day, you can drop this, zip it, drop this so air can move through. And at night, just keep this zip shut and this up. And this side didn't get reconnected after the last trip. And I will get this later because doing this one-handed is not working. This little power cubby, we provide this converter for here. This way you don't have to have 110 on to charge. As you can see, we provide a number of different charging options. This turns on, this light turns on this mood lighting around here. We don't use it very much, but it's very cool. You can change the colors of it. You make it look different. One press on turns it on, one press off turns it off. And of course you get this lovely handy dandy reading light. We recommend sleeping with your head on this side of the van. If you sleep with it on this side of the van and you wake up suddenly, you could hit your head on this, which is a bummer and isn't preferable. We also include this privacy tent. If you want it, if you don't want it, like anything else, we can pull it out prior to your trip for the outdoor shower if you need it, or if you're boondocking and you want to take just the cassette toilet out into this so that you're not going potty inside the van, especially if it's number 2. That can become quite smelly quite quickly. In here, we keep cleaning supplies. You can also keep various things that you may want. We have this lovely guest book if you'd like to sign it. Most people don't anymore. And this is the power cord for the microwave, the 110 for the microwave. We also keep some gloves in here, nitrile gloves for any of those systems. Okay, so we're gonna start by talking about the window covers for this section of the video. As you can see, the window covers are currently on. All of the window covers themselves have labels on the tags, except for one of them. So this one has kitchen written on that. So the kitchen goes on this side. The one with D on the tag is for the driver's side window. P is for the passenger side window. And the only one that doesn't is this one, has nothing written on the tag. And that means it goes on this window. So all of the windows window covers connect magnetically, but they are insulated. So the way you know what direction they go, the tag always faces down and black faces outside of the van. And as you can see, the magnets are they work. So this particular cover requires a little bit of work. Do you want to back up a little bit so that they can see? So this particular, my helper is helping out a ton. This cover, the magnetic sources are up top. So we have to take the edge and work it around so that it touches and it'll stay up. I recommend messing with the bottom half second, and it will just stay in. So the magnets all connected there. Let's get this again. It can be a little finicky, as you can see, but once it's on, it will stay up. And then for the bottom, you can just connect in like this, and that window cover is on. The rest of them are a whole lot simpler. They just go on by touching up and in, and you can push it in like that to help keep it dark. This is the window cover for the windshield, and that goes on, and these have to be down to keep it up, and there's a section that holds it there. Again, the black side faces out, so we have that. All right, so last thing that we need to talk about before we move into the cab, our fire extinguisher lives here in case you have an emergency. These are the on-in controls, which you don't need to worry about. This will help you get up and in and out of the bed if needed. This turns on and off the underbed lights. This turns on passenger scene light outside, and the awning lights can be very, very helpful as well. And they just sit right there on top of the awning and they'll light the side of the van. Again, any switches that are on are drawing power. We provide a first aid kit. If you take anything out of it, just let us know at the end. No shame, no harm, no foul. It just lets us know that we need to refill something. The air conditioning unit is brand new. It turns on right now. It has the cover on the outside. It turns on and the remote control is right here. Make sure that it cycles off at least every 15 minutes. If it runs for more than 15 minutes, it'll begin to condense. It won't work as well, and it'll start to condense moisture onto the ceiling fabric up here. We primarily recommend that you use the max air fan, which works by pulling this down and then turn, and you'll see it open like that, and then press fan on. And this is phenomenally amazing at pulling air up, out, and through the van and making sure that there's airflow. Also helps keep condensation out of the van as well. If you have the door open or one of these windows cracked, it works a little bit like an attic fan if you're familiar. But before you drive, this needs to be closed, so make sure the fan is off. And then turn this all the way to closed. And once it's tight, doesn't have to be super tight, press up so it locks, and then it's safe to drive. If this is open and you start driving, it will be very loud. If the van is very loud and you're driving, check this. That's probably a big part of it. Now my helper is going to help me show you the swivel seats. So these seats turn around to give you extra mobility and movement, but in order to do this, we have to do a couple of things. Come here, buddy. So the van itself, these are manual seats, which is helpful because this makes this process go by much, much faster. So this turns the seat. So my recommendation is before you turn the seat, you turn it and you unlock it and turn it just a little bit like this. Because when you pull it forward, as you can see, it won't turn. It's blocking itself. It's hitting the wall. So you need to bring it forward. When you bring it forward, this is going to get covered. So this just helps make it so it turns a little bit easier. Can you help me out?
Just hold it still.
Yep. And then you pull this up, bring the seat all the way forward, and then it will turn all the way around like that. And then you can bring the seat backwards again by pressing this and moving it back like that. So now you have a seat moving this direction. For parking and camping, it opens up a ton of space in the van. To do the same, I recommend the same. So to turn it the other way, just turn, unlock it a little bit so that it's unlocked, then pull the seat all the way forward, turn it all the way back around, and once it's locked in place, move it back to wherever your passenger wants to be. Refrigerator, one last thing here. There's one handle in the center that's a really nice refrigerator. It can feel weird pulling it. We found that just lift up and press with your thumb just makes it feel like it opens and closes just a little bit easier. All right, so let's talk about the van function and operation itself. So there are two things. First of all, as you notice, to swivel the seats around, you need to be able to get past this because this seat also swivels and turns. As a result, as you can see, the parking brake is on right now. It's pulled all the way up. This is really, really tricky. And as you can see, the van itself, Mercedes, came with this warning about it, that you need to pay attention to the folding handbrake lever. So this will go back down to allow this seat to turn and move over it. If you have the parking brake on, which we do recommend when you're parked, this moves up and down without making any of the normal parking brake popping sounds, right? So if it is ever down, or if you're going to use the parking brake, I recommend just putting your hand underneath like this without touching the button, just underneath, pull up till it stops. Once it stops, then it works like any other parking brake. a little bit of pressure up, press the button, and it goes down. Now, now the parking brake is off. If you notice, like, it requires more effort to move. And when I pull it up, you'll hear that typical parking brake sound, right? If it's down like this and I press this button and pull it, it resets where it thinks the parking brake stops up here. So you could end up in a situation where the parking brake is all the way up here and it's basically trapped on because you can't actually release it. So when you're using it, again, if it's down and you see the parking brake light on, you just take it like this, pull it up until it stops, and then release like you would any other parking brake, like that. I'm going to keep it on. To turn the van on, all you have to do is you have the keys. The keys are handy dandy. They're right here. If the battery's low or dead, you can stick it in this spot right here. And even if the battery's dead, that will allow the van to turn on. So we have this, turn it on, and you'll see it. So that little spoolie thing that you saw come on there tells you that the coils are warming up. So the van itself functions like just about any other vehicle. You get this wonderful little control system. As you can see, the parking brake is on because I just turned it on. You will know the parking brake is off because that light goes off. If the handle is up and that light, or if the handle is down and the parking brake light is on, so if it looks like this, the handle down, parking brake on, that means, again, just pull up like that, and then to release it, like any other normal parking brake, and then the light goes off. I'm gonna turn it back on. Here you can see the DEF fluid level, the diesel exhaust fluid level. If this light gets down to about a quarter low, you need to put DEF in the van. This tells you how full it is, but for the diesel exhaust fluid to work, it has to be at least half full. So when it gets to half, it thinks it's empty. As far as it's concerned, it's empty. So it takes about 400 miles to get down to where you will need to put DEF in, and we'll cover that momentarily, how to do that. This is a 9,500 pound vehicle, which means going down mountain roads in Colorado, you need to be comfortable downshifting. These are the paddle shifters for downshifting. So as you can see, if I put it, my foot is on the brake, if I put it into drive, we see that go into drive. These paddle shifters will let me shift down. So when I press down, we get D1, that means it's in gear 1. If I press the up button, it goes up to gear 2. To get it back into standard drive, I just press down, and now it's back into drive. This is super important because if you brake going down mountain passes, when you're in the mountains, if you are primarily controlling speed through brakes, you're going to weaken the brakes. The brakes are great on this vehicle, but any disc brake system, if you overuse the brakes, you'll get something called brake fade. And when you have brake fade, even though you have pads, even though you have rotors, the brakes will stop working. You can also burn through the pads and rotors really quickly. So when you're up in the mountains, you're going down a hill, use this first. Downshift, this is a turbo diesel. If you are in gear 4, going down from the Eisenhower Johnson Tunnel into Silverthorne, having this in 4th is enough to control the speed of 55 miles an hour, which is more than fast enough going down that mountain road. We have an air conditioning system up here. We also have a CarPlay Android Auto system. Here we do provide the cords. You can also use the cords back in the cubby. To connect to CarPlay or Android Auto, you have to be connected to this particular USB-C cable. If you're on either of the others, it won't register as CarPlay Auto. If you have this coming out, this has to be off to the side. We include registration information there, and make sure to print off your insurance information. This handles the side window controls here. This folds them in and out. These are your windows up and down. You have heated seats as well on both sides, passenger and driver side heated seats. Make sure that you are keeping this clean. Please do not put Nalgene bottles upside down into this. We had someone do that and ruin our cup holders. So this is a replacement cup holder because someone had Nalgene and crammed it in upside down and drove grooves into the plastic. If for some reason you find yourself in deep snow or mud and you need to use four-wheel drive, this is the button that turns on four-wheel drive. In order for this to work, you have to turn the vehicle into neutral. So once it's in neutral, like that, and you get that in, your four-wheel drive system will engage. And it will tell you the four-wheel drive system is engaged up here. It'll actually tell you. And then you can go back into drive, and we're going to go into park. You also get 360 cameras. Because I went into reverse for a second, it shows me 360 cameras. You still need to be very careful while you're driving and moving. Your fuel gauge is here. It needs to come back full. It's diesel fuel, only diesel fuel, no unleaded. We'll go ahead and turn the van off. You also get these handy dandy steering wheel controls. This thing drives like a Mercedes. It drives absolutely amazingly. So why don't we go ahead and talk about the DEF system and underneath the hood, as well as fueling. So when you're fueling the vehicle, the diesel fuel goes here. Only diesel. So make sure you're putting diesel in. If it is in the winter, you will also add diesel anti-gel, which we will provide if for some reason that's necessary. If you have the vehicle and no one expected that it was going to drop cold enough to require gel, which is really anything under 29 degrees. So once it starts to get to freezing, 32 to 29 degrees Fahrenheit, you need to put anti-gel in here. If no one realized it was going to get that cold, but you're out in the world and you realize it's getting that cold, it's going to be that cold, it's your responsibility to go to an auto parts store, go ahead and buy diesel anti-gel and dose it according to the bottle. Every brand is a little bit different. We recommend Hot Shot anti-gel. That's what we use, and that is lots of tests have shown that to be the most reliable. So you want to make sure you're only fueling with diesel anti-gel. The driver's side door does have to be open for that to work. To pop the hood, we get this. And the headlight system, by the way, is also right here. Keep it to auto and you'll be fine. If you pull this down, you'll pop the hood open. So if you have never seen diesel exhaust fluid, this is what it looks like. If you need to put DEF in, any gas station that sells diesel fuel also sells DEF. We recommend Peak Blue DEF for all sorts of reasons. You can get cheaper stuff, but you'll go through it faster, you'll get worse gas mileage, and it's worse for our van. So please use Blue DEF if it is available. To put DEF in, you need to open the top. So my helper is going to hold this. The button is right here under the hood. It does not stay up by itself, so you need to use this to bring this down here, and that will hold it open. Your DEF fill is right here. This is where you put the diesel exhaust fluid. It comes with a spigot in the box that you can use. You will open this up, set it like that, and the diesel exhaust fluid goes into this. I recommend filling it slowly. Sometimes it'll back up and kind of spit back out at you. When it does, the van will look like it had a runny nose. Diesel DEF drives kind of white, kind of like what you're seeing inside here. So you'll have that running all down the grill and all in here. And it's kind of a mess to clean up. So please just put it in slowly if you need to. Inside the van, inside here is your coolant, Windshield wiper fluid here, as you can see, it's full. All of our brake fluid, power steering fluid. If for some reason the van engine itself needs to be jumped, there are two options. The first option is inside the van itself. If your lithium ion batteries are working, you are able to press and hold this battery merge button. If you are pressing and holding this battery merge button, it temporarily connects the lithium ion batteries in the back of the van that I showed earlier to the engine to allow it to start and get the van up and running. If for some reason that does not work and the battery is dead, the battery itself actually lives under here, but the jump points for the Mercedes Sprinter are right here. So this is your positive, and then there is a negative clip right here. Again, you're paying for protection plan. If this happens, call them and let them handle it. This is where oil goes. There is no oil stick in a diesel Sprinter. There is in the service section of the menus of the van a place where you can see what the oil levels are. It takes driving about a mile to adjust and show you what the actual oil levels are. We do not recommend that any runner mess with the oil system, the coolant system, the brake system, any of those fluids without talking to Outdoorsy and the protection plan and CoachNet first, whoever Outdoorsy is using for the protection plan at that point in time. We just want to familiarize. The primary thing you need to be familiar with is the DEF. If you are curious about that fuel filter heater that I showed, the fuel filter is right down in there, which is the reason why we provide that. So if for some reason the van diesel gels, it prevents us from having to go all the way in there. That they can just wrap that, plug it in, heat up the fuel filter, and then hopefully get the fuel running again. All of that is avoidable by using the diesel anti-gel. So here's this. To put this back down, you just lift up, do this. Hopefully, aside from diesel anti-gel, you do not have to go into this. The last system we have to show is this back water system. So if you are going to take a shower or you need to refill air, we have this system here. The water pump turns on and off back here. You can turn it on and off back here. This is the air pump switch here, and that turns the air pump on and off. And if you need to use either of those, here are the connections. So this is what connects the water. This is inside here are the pneumatic air systems. They just connect in back there. So this pressure fits into the water system. In this utility panel here, you turn the water pump on, connect that hose into here, and you get hot and cold water. Make sure before you close the doors that you close this. Again, if you're taking a shower and you want privacy, you can set the privacy tin up right here just outside the door and use that so you don't get everything wet in here. So that's the outdoor water system. When you close these doors, make sure you close this side, the side with the Albox first, and then the passenger side second, or you will knock this off. So that is Bammy the Ultra Van in a nutshell. If you've watched this video, then you are ready to go, and we can clarify any additional questions at pickup. Thank you again for renting, or if you're watching this video before you're renting, for considering renting our van, and we look forward to hopefully meeting you in person soon.